Hello everyone, Subbucky here, and this is everything you need to know about ASKA'S latest update, Armorers and Tinkerers, or as I'm calling it, Tinker Tailor Boulder Buy. First up, the devs have finally delivered on one of, if not the most long-standing request for this game, blowing up those giant immovable rocks. Yay! Simply drop an explosive sack on them and watch the fireworks. Each rock does have to be destroyed individually, so there's no AoE clearing here. Make sure to bring plenty of explosives. They sadly don't drop anything when destroyed, except maybe your anxiety levels if they've been interfering with your farm placements. It also turns out you can destroy the rocks in the Draugr field as well. Thank you to Grim for pointing that out, and put down in the comments if you found any other weird rocks that can be blown up. Next up, we have an absolutely mind-boggling amount of new or upgradable buildings. I think almost all buildings are now able to be upgraded, with the exception of the outhouse, sadly. But, you know, maybe everyone who's been asking to get rid of those immovable rocks can now pivot to asking for an upgraded outhouse. Let your voices be heard, people. The most exciting new building is, in my opinion, the new Tinkerer's Station, which isn't so much a new building, it's just a new part of the building. It's found at the improved Metalworker. This station opens up a brand new weapon progression system where you can bring those old rusty weapons you sometimes loot from skeletons and Draugr and study them. The weapons are destroyed in the process, which is fine because they were crap anyway, but the knowledge you gain from studying them unlocks new, reforged ancient weapon recipes based on the one that you studied. It is important to note this isn't a one and done thing. You only get a percentage of the knowledge, so you will have to continually harvest, loot, and then study these artifacts to finally unlock their ancient reforged recipes. Now, you don't have to do all the studying yourself and can assign the task of studying to your workshop workers. As of the time of recording, there is still no corpse harvesting job in the game, so you do have to be the one to go out, harvest the bodies and loot the weapons, but there are now storage options for these in your tool and weapon racks, so you can just have a tool and weapon rack dedicated to these ancient weapons, and then any that you loot or leave on the ground will be picked up by your workshop workers and then picked up by your metalsmiths. Surprisingly, the reforged ancient weapons cost the same resources as the standard iron weapons, but come with increased damage and durability, so it's well worth collecting and studying these. This definitely fits into the category of one of those late game activities that you're not going to get right away, and it will take a lot of time to unlock all these recipes, but the rewards will surely be worth it. Next up, the Armorsmith is a new standalone building that takes the burden of armor crafting off your workshop workers. There are two tiers to this building: the basic tier, which unlocks linen and leather recipes such as the new leather helmets shown here, while the improved Armorsmith unlocks metal recipes. And oh my god, I love the look of this helmet. I need this helmet. Hang on. That is so cool. I love this so much. Be sure to set new tasks at your other workshops for those prerequisite components that go into these new armor pieces, because your Armorsmith is a separate building, remember, so they're not going to be going around and making these themselves like they would before. Also, be aware that there is a new clothing and armor degradation system in place now, so armor and clothes will naturally decay over time. Be sure to keep your stocks healthy. If you have an established village with many villagers, you might find them all needing a new pair of underwear at once. Plan accordingly. Another fantastic change comes in the form of the improved charcoal maker, which allows you to turn other wood resources into coal, so you're not just limited to firewood anymore. If you have an excess of sticks and bark, like we all do, you can now go into the task menu and set what fuel to use for coal making. Just for the love of Odin, turn off reeds. Never. Why would you make coal out of reeds? They're too valuable. Along with this coal production improvement comes another in-game mechanical change: the fuel system overhaul. All fuel-burning buildings now have a new task in their respective menus, so if you go into the cooking hut, you'll see the menu here at the top. Here you can assign the fuel priority as well as turn certain ones off. So the first thing you always want to do is you want to turn off your wood shafts and your reeds again. Having those active is an absolute troll. Don't hurt yourself by burning those. With the improved coal maker, you might as well turn off bark and sticks as well, because those can go into making coal. Of firewood and coal, I do tend to turn firewood off because I turn all of my wood into coal, which is much more efficient. If you're unsure about that and you want to keep it, I would simply drag the coal to the left, making coal the priority, and then if you're out of coal, firewood the backup. But again, I prefer to turn it off since you can now turn all this wood into coal and it just burns at a much more efficient rate. Keeping on the topic of the fuel overhaul, fishing, or more accurately, fish blubber has been added to the game. This is obtained by harvesting fish, obviously, so expect lots of this to be littered around your cooking huts. They can be stored in the raw food storages and used at the cooking stations to make fish oil. I think this recipe is known by default because after crafting it, I didn't get a notification that I learned it, but in the event you haven't learned it, it's just 4 blubber and 4 water. Either way, you'll be able to set this as a task for your chefs. Now, I can't tell you which one is better, fish oil or resin, but for me personally, I will prioritize fish oil because it does seem like the easier of the two to farm. You just set up fishers and they'll bring in fish, you harvest them for food, versus having to chop down a forest in order to just get a handful of resin. Also, I just realized fish oil replenishes 50% of the offering trays, so yeah, fish oil is way better. This honestly is another amazing change because I just did a runestone guide video and they can be super powerful if used properly, but they always have this insane resin cost and would basically empty out your reserves within a few days. With the new fish oil resource, you are going to be able to keep these running constantly, so you and your villagers can continue to benefit from these incredible buffs. I love this change. Moving on to some more new buildings, upgrading the market grants you 3 brand new carts, not sleds, carts, an extra worker slot, so you have 3 workers to work those carts, and also the luxury of having to redo all of your trade routes. Seriously, take a screenshot before you upgrade so you know what you are doing here. Next up, the improved healing hut looks miles better than the basic version and comes with improved durability. Remember that workers assigned to the healing hut benefit from the shamanism skill, so level any future healers up at runestone first before transferring them here. They'll punch you back to health faster. The kennel has also been given an improved version with increased durability. No new recipes for dog food or anything like that, which is a little strange, and I still don't think the dogs are eating bones, so keep that in mind, but it does look really cool and it can be painted to match your aesthetic vision. Next up, the Chieftain's Hut, and I know I catch a lot of flack for the Chieftain's Hut because I always forget to build it, but I built it in this test here. So next up, the Chieftain's Hut can be upgraded to the Proud Chieftain's Hut, which again adds a new game mechanic into the game called the Party System. The party system allows you to assign villagers to your very own elite Viking task force where they'll follow you around and defend you from any nearby hostiles. So this is an absolute must for Invasion Day. You don't have to go around blowing the smoker horn endlessly all night anymore. However, another neat part about this system is you can give orders to your party members to harvest and pick up any nearby resources. That's insane. So I'm just assigning my stone cutters to my party because I want to test something. So yeah, little experiment over and the stonecutters will harvest Jotunblood deposits, which is really cool and something that a stonecutter villager will not normally do. So I can definitely already see some benefits to this new party system outside of a combat setting, although personally I will be using mine mostly for combat, blood moons, invasions, or anytime I want to go pick a fight with the large spire. I would be interested to know how you guys plan to use your party system, so let us all know in the comments so we can all have a little bit of a brainstorm together. And finally, as far as new buildings go, the Lookout Tower is another amazing addition that is both hilarious and really good, actually. This comically large tower comes with a unique camera angle when you get to the top, making this the absolute best spot in your game for screenshots or pretending to be the Eye of Sauron. Now, I am already getting suggestions on videos, and I haven't even released this yet. I'm getting suggestions on videos that this would be an amazing way of putting down buildings, because, you know, sometimes when you're trying to put down buildings in the standard view, it's a little bit fiddly. You could get into line of sight issues with other buildings, the terrain, trees, rocks, that sort of thing. So I'm wondering if this is the first step towards some sort of bird's eye camera or, an alternative way of placing down buildings. Let me know what you think though. I would love this type of view for walls. I just spent so long doing a wall and it was very, very fiddly in the standard view. Having a view like this would have made it so much easier. But the lookout tower is a must-have build for your villagers. I'm getting a bit of vertigo up here, so I'm just going to slide back down. That's it for new buildings, but there's still a few more mechanics to cover, starting with enemies. There are new skeleton and Draugr variants in the world now, known as bonkers, bashers, and headsmen. I haven't quite gotten a handle on which one's which yet, but the patch notes do say that bashers wield one-handed hammers and shield, bonkers wield the mighty two-handed warhammers, and the headsmen wield the two-handed battle axes. Bronze swords and axes have also been replaced with Draugr variants, so they all fit nicely together, according to the notes. Just as before, enemies will have a chance to drop their weapons when harvested, which you then take to the Tinkerer Station, as we saw at the start of this video. Now, I don't think these are the previously teased elite enemies from the 2024 roadmap, but it is interesting to me that we are getting an increase in player power through these new reforged ancient weapons, so that makes me wonder, is the next patch going to introduce something much tougher that will require said weapons? Something to think about and look forward to, perhaps. I know I just said I don't think these are the elite enemies that were teased in the 2024 roadmap, but given how my latest winter invasion went, they are definitely a step up in difficulty from what we're used to, so be careful. Finally, the painting and dye system has been overhauled. You can now apply dye directly to armor and clothing without having to go through the hassle of mixing in the tub from like before. Just click the dye with your left mouse button and then click the piece of armor you want to dye also with your left mouse button. Looking good. Apparently housing is easier to paint, but the sun just went down and I want to go to bed, so I'll let you discover that one for yourselves. And that's it for the big ticket items, and honestly, what a surprising and really impressive patch this has turned out to be. There are of course a bunch of smaller changes, tweaks, optimizations, and quality of life updates. I'm not going to go through them all because that'll take far too long and you'll find it really boring, so you can find the full patch notes by using the link below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more ASKA news and adventures. Cheerio.